Do not attempt to adjust your podcast player. We are controlling the transmission. We are here to be your guide, helping you to explore local events, the art scene, music, theater, sports, and possibly a conspiracy or two. All here on the GCRX Radio and Podcast Network.
Good evening, Granite City, and all of you guys watching. I am Bryan with a Y, your favorite guy, and this is In the Metro, located in Studio B, just outside the Garden Gate Tea Room.
Yes.
Tonight, you guys get the privilege of it is myself and engineer Bill.
Yes.
Good evening, Bill. How are you?
Good evening. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. A little tired, but I'm all right.
I'm always tired.
Adulting. I wouldn't recommend
story.
it one
No,
star. Like
no.
I don't do it. It's a trap.
It really is.
So how was your weekend? What'd you end up getting into?
Not a whole lot. Got some stuff done around the house and went to church. Not a whole lot. Got a few things done. I always overestimate what I'm going to be able to accomplish on a Saturday. I'm like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and these 7 projects, and I do maybe 2 if I'm lucky. Sometimes 1. You like I'm really bad at like estimating what's going to go wrong and delay it from being done. I'm like, no, I've got all those things and I can do this. It's no big deal. And then like, no, something went wrong. And now I have to make a trip to the hardware store or 5. So yeah. Got a couple things done. So that's worth something.
Yeah. I mean, like when you say, oh, we'll knock those struts out in no time.
No. Yeah, those were
8
the worst.
hours later.
1 bolt, bro. 1 bolt. Well, how about your weekend?
Nothing too crazy. I will say I got my first order for Factor last week.
Okay.
Factor, for those of you who don't know, and we're not sponsored by them in any way, shape, or form. This is just what happened. I got my first order last week and was like, oh, cool. Now I don't have to cook or grocery shop or anything like that. And I don't, which is great. I just overestimated how much I was going to. So I got 16 meals. I was like, oh, this is great. And they're all different meals. You got chicken, cauliflower rice. I was unfamiliar with in the first place, but it's good stuff. And then, I had like 4 meals left, and the second box showed up with 16 more meals. And I'm like,
oof.
Oh, okay.
Dinner at Bryan's house.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm going to bring some over because I might need help eating these. And I don't want it to go to waste. It's so good, though. And the portions are just the right size. So even though it's keto and everything is like, carb conscious and low sugar and whatnot, and it tastes great. It's just it's a bit much for me, which is weird because have you seen me? Like I've got quite a bit going on here. I'm just saying.
Very filling ingredient.
It is filling though. It is filling. There's a vegetable and a protein, and it's like, oh man, it's great. So yeah. Oh, I've got my my staple now. I believe 2 times it's a staple, 3 times it's definitely a thing.
Maybe an obsession, psychiatric disorder. I don't know.
I mean, is it really a psychiatric disorder with Earl Grey hot, which is what this is? Courtesy of the Board Gamery, which is also in this facility.
Yes.
Come on down. Hours are posted on their website. Yeah, there's a good amount that's happening. I know this weekend at Stages, they've got a new show coming. I can't tell you what it is because it'll ruin the surprise. Don't look it up.
Well, you can't like be like, hey, there's a show coming, and then like leave everybody on the other end
totally
with like,
ruin
I'm not telling you what you're doing.
Amy, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But yeah, let me see. Beetlejuice. Did you happen to catch that one yet?
I have not.
Yeah. Let me see, at the Alfresco Theater coming up in November. One of my personal favorites, Legally Blonde. It starts November 8th. I am super excited about this show. Oh my God, you guys. Oh my God. I think I'm gonna wear pink, like for real. It's not even gonna be like the Barbie thing. It's legit just gonna be, hey, this is what's up. I'm gonna wear pink. I'm gonna have to get a pink outfit. And it's gonna be awesome. I love it so much. There's a great track. I think it's track 4 or 5. That's really awesome for walking to. Like it gives you a great New York pace. And as you're moving, like it's just like the steps are just like perfect for a nice little power walk. And I used to listen to it. My sister put me onto it. But we would listen to it. It's the scene where Elle Woods is finding out that she's in law school and she's making her way through like all the studying and she can't go to these events and whatnot. And it's a very power walk kind of. By the end of the show, I'll have that for you. I'll remember what it is. In any case, let's talk a little bit, Bill.
Yeah.
Today's show, we're talking about like cleanup and just like other things. And you know, you guys ever see someone like pull up to a stop sign and just drop a bag of trash just out their window? Don't you just kind of want to knock the crap out of them, maybe throw the bag at them? If anything, be a decent human being. Wait till you're on the highway and throw it out at 70 miles an hour.
No.
That was bad?
No, the state fine for littering is $1,500.
$1,500 for throwing a bag of trash out on the highway.
Yeah. For throwing a napkin out the window. Littering is littering.
Littering is littering. Yeah, That's no joke. $1,500 just for, I'm going to wait at the next gas station or rest stop. I'm going to be at one anyway. I'll just throw the bag out there. Let's save people the trouble.
Well, and I don't understand the mentality of folks that would just throw random trash out the window. Like, you know, I get it. Some people probably don't have like trash bags in their car, you know, like a little trash sack from like a grocery store sack or something like that. But you should, because you should take it home with you and dispose it correctly, because there's not usually a task force of people that go around and just pick up random trash. I mean, we don't have city employees that are dedicated to just going around and picking up the trash. There's too many other things to do. And that's a lot of payroll to pay for folks just going around and picking up the trash. So take it home with you. It's that easy. I mean, the city fine is up to $750 for littering. Up to $750 for littering. And it's, like I said, the state fine, if you do your highway method that you so graciously said, is $1,500. So I know in other states they're really hard on that. Like they don't like seeing people litter. But you can't keep a clean city when you just don't have any respect and you stop at a stop sign and throw something out your window, or, you know, oh, I don't want this in here anymore. I mean, like, listen, if you go through McDonald's, you're getting a bag.
Right.
Keep it all in the bag. When you get home, throw it away. Or like you said, stop by a gas station, throw it in the trash can they have there. Like, there's no reason to be littering around the city.
You know, it's interesting. I don't know if you remember the kid back in the 90s. He was like 16 years old. He decided he was going to run off and spray paint out in Singapore. And the fine for, first of all, some of those countries over there, you can't chew gum in the street because spitting gum out is considered littering. Like Dubai, you cannot. Singapore, you cannot. Like the streets are so clean, you can eat off of them out there. And if you decide that you're going to just litter, throw trash out the window, it's not like a financial fine at all. It's a physical fine. They'll cane you like 15 times, bro.
It's one of those things that
across the back
that I think it's simple. Like, it costs you nothing to leave the trash in your car till you get to a gas station, or to get to your house to throw it away in your trash can. Why is it so important for you, or why has it become a habit for you to throw it out and make it somebody else's fault?
Well, even if you don't have a trash bag in your car, my ex-wife put me onto this phenomenon, and I didn't know this because I grew up in New York City and I didn't have a car when I lived there. But there's this thing apparently called a trash door, where every time you get like a wrapper or something that you just need out of the way, there's a little pocket right next to your door, like in your door, and you just stick it there until you get to a trash can, a dumpster, or something like that. And then at that point, you just empty out the trash door. You just take all the stuff out and throw it away. But prior to that, it's just it sits there until you gas up. I don't see why that's like that. That seems like a pretty
Well, and like I said, all of the things that are like nasty and disgusting, like fast food wrappers and so on, like, listen, you got a bag that came with the fast food, put all your trash back in that bag, empty it at the next gas station, empty it at your home. There's so many available places to get rid of the trash other than just throwing it out the window. Every time I see that, it drives me nuts. And here's the thing. 90% of the time that I see this trash thrown out a window, it's in a bag from the place that they got it from. So you've got, McDonald's bags on the side of the road,
Quick Trip.
Right, or a Lee's chicken bag, or like just fast food place bags that are full of their trash from that they've thrown out the window. Like, you couldn't have the human decency to take that home, walk it in your house, and throw it in your trash can. Your trash pickup is the same cost every month as it, with whether you throw away one more bag of trash or not. So it doesn't matter. Throw it away at home. Where did you learn this habit? I mean, like, we literally go into cities and we see the trash all over the place. And I'm not talking about like abandoned couches and mattresses. And I'm talking about just your trash from whatever you bought and ate and took with you. You've thrown out your window because you're lazy, you don't care. And then we have these people turn around and be like, oh, our city looks like trash. Well,
Yeah,
I wonder why.
Thanks for your input. Literally just
right.
Well, what's crazy is you grow up in New York and there's trash everywhere. Like, it's just, you see the dumps, you see the trash can, and the trash can itself is full. And the trash, the sanitation workers, they maybe get to it every 3 days. They'll hit it like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday. And in that amount of time, of course, like with 8 million, 9 million people, like even in the neighborhood I grew up in, probably had 15 to 20,000 people just in my neighborhood. Forget the rest of the zip code on the other side of the tracks. Now you're talking about possibly 30,000 people just in that zip code, 11212.
Yep.
So like the idea that it was always going to stay clean, it seems like, oh, well, how does that happen? Well, it's actually kind of easy because we did exactly what it is that you're talking about. Like, okay, so we take it home, we throw it in the trash, we empty our trash into the, we had our apartment building had 81 apartments in it, 81 units, throw it in the dumpster in the back. Okay, cool. Well, where does it go from there? Well, the super comes out with the porter and they wrap the whole thing up, and then they drag it and they have it staged so that when sanitation is ready, now they're moving, 15 or 30 of these giant garbage bags over, and on Tuesdays or Thursdays or whenever it was that they picked up trash, that's what happened. They just grabbed all 30 bags and tossed them. And it made for the neighborhood being a lot cleaner, a lot easier. Now, of course, you got the knuckleheads who are passing through and they're just chucking stuff out the window. I
just never understood that. The way that I was raised, my dad and my mom too, but my dad especially was like, listen, we don't throw anything out. And, we did a lot of camping, and his thing was like, we leave it better than we found it.
Yes.
Every single time. Like, yeah, we got here and there was some beer cans over there, and there's some plastic that's blown off into the wood line here, and it's not ours, but while we're cleaning up what mess we made, it doesn't take but a second to go through with a trash bag and clean up what was there, which I've always respected. Because, like I said before the show, when we were kind of talking about this, there's not people that are running around doing this. I mean, in a park, there usually are, the rangers will get out and take care of things and stuff. But in the city, we, like, even here, we have street sweepers that go through from time to time, not on a like super close schedule. It's, whenever they can get to it. But there aren't city employees that are just going around whose sole job is to go pick up the trash you left at that stop sign. And what happens is, the wind blows or a car hits it and and boom, the
Poof.
trash goes everywhere.
Now this bag of trash is a intersection of trash.
Right. Or it blows into people's yards or blows all over the place, or animals get into it and, eat plastics and so on and so forth, which every time I see this, it really gets me down this rabbit hole of the single-use plastic thing. And I watched something, and this was a while back, but the guy really put it in perspective. He's like, single-use plastics are a problem. We can kind of all agree on that. We've made it a way of life. But if you think about it, think about the duration of your single-use plastic. We don't ever think about that. So imagine going to Quick Trip, and you're going to buy a couple taquitos. So you're going to put them in that taquito plastic bag that they've got. You're going to take it up to the register. You're going to pay for it. You're going to go back out to your car. You're probably going to be munching on taquitos, and you're going to use that plastic bag for all of maybe 5 minutes, and now it's trash.
5 minutes seems like a really long time for 2 taquitos. Like, I'm pretty sure before I'm gonna be real with you. There are times, I'm such a fat kid. There are times when they're like, do you want a plastic bag? No, because they're going to be done before I get to my car in 30 seconds. Like, I'm just letting you know. Yeah. Like, I put it inside, like the hot dogs, for example. I put them inside those clamshells specifically because they're easier to walk with. But
of course, yeah.
If I didn't have those, like, I would just be like, look, I ate one on the way here, and here's the other one I'm eating right now, and I'm going to pay for it. So
I feel like it, and again, it all comes down to, who's making money off of what. But I feel like there's probably a lot of relevant solutions for these short duration single-use plastics. And I've seen things in the past, like I was at a conference in Dallas years ago, and they had these cups, and they were clear plastic cups, and they felt just like regular plastic cups. And because they had like complimentary beverages, you just go up to the fountain, fill it up with tea or soda or whatever you want to get during the entirety of the conference. And but they were made out of a special corn-based material, and they would biodegrade in 30 days. And literally day one of the conference, we saw this and we're like, oh, I wonder, so we filled it up with water and left it in the room that we were using. And after probably about a week, it started to kind of sweat, not from the condensate in, coming on the cup in the room because it wasn't cold anymore. It was room temperature, but like it was leaking out. So like literally it was going to biodegrade, but for the entirety of a day of the conference, this thing was fine. Carry it around, refill it, use it over and over again, whatever. But literally, like, you go to their website, it turned into goo after 30 days and nutrients for plants and so on and so forth. And so my thing is, like, other than the fact that it's probably more cost prohibitive than regular plastic, we should be doing this. Like, there's like Illinois apparently just banned fluorescent lights and something else. I can't remember. I saw it on Facebook and I rolled and scrolled, but like, we're worried about that kind of stuff. But if you think about the amount of trash that we produce, like, I think about the amount of trash that my family alone produces in a week. And I'm like, man, all the stuff that we throw away. And of course there's recycling programs, and we try to, split up like cardboard and paper and whatever we can into the recycling, but like, it's still a lot of stuff. And even with recycling, if you've got something that has a lot of food waste on it that's plastic,
right,
you either have to rinse that off or throw it in the regular garbage. And let's just be honest, if I have to spend extra money on water, I'm probably not rinsing it off and throwing it away in the regular garbage. It's a lot of trash,
right?
And you look at things around this area, there's landfills that are done, they're capped off, it's finished, and
they don't biodegrade.
Nope. In fact, they have to, vent the methane off of the landfills and do all kinds of special monitoring and everything because of them being there, especially depending on the age of the landfill. I have a prediction. I would imagine probably within the next 20, maybe 30 years, it's going to become profitable enough for people to go back and start excavating and recycling landfills. Reclaim the land.
Reclaim
the land and the resources.
That would be dope.
Because, you got to think there are points where, like, everybody thinks, oh, metal recycling easy, like, okay, but it wasn't always that way. Like, people just throw it away, so you got recycled stuff, you got electronics in there, you've got plastics and
stuff that we
and
couldn't recycle before that we can recycle now.
Yep.
Going back in. See, and my old church back in Brooklyn,
mm-hmm.
like there used to be a landfill there. And they're now, like, they leveled it out, they did all the stuff, they did all of the things, and they built this 5,000 seat sanctuary
mm-hmm.
church with all of the administration and all, like, a parking lot and all the goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a massive campus. And when Pastor Bernard was talking about, hey, this is what we're gonna do, this is where I want to do it, there were so many people who laughed at him and were like, but it's a landfill, bro. Like,
right.
what do you, like, how is this going to work? And he was like, the Lord will make a way. Like, and good grief, that was back in 2000. We're at 2024. The building is still standing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just there a couple weeks ago, and they're developing the rest of the land now, which is, like, insane considering that, this landfill was never, ever going to be,
well,
doable.
The unfortunate part about some of the landfills around here, like take Shoto Island, for instance, it's a big mountain. It's a big mountain of trash. Like,
wow.
I mean, even if you would, like, I've seen other reclamation projects where they've taken old landfills and turned it into a golf course. You would have to remove a considerable amount of what's there to make this level enough to be a golf course. The one out near the racetrack is a mountain out there by, was it Pilot out there and the racetrack and all that. That's a landfill that's done. And it's a mountain.
I kind of feel like you take away from the mystique if you do that. Like, if you take away the trash, no, seriously, hear me out here. We're playing through, like, that's just what we're going to do. We're like,
who wants to play golf on a hill?
In mini golf, you have the little, what's it called? The not the Ferris wheel, the windmill. And you've got to putt through that, right?
Yep.
Could you imagine? You've got to hit it past this trash heap, right? And you got to catch it just right and hope the wind doesn't blow it, because if it hits the trash, like, that's it. Like, you just you don't even take a mulligan. You just drop a new ball. Just go for it.
You're acting like the trash isn't buried. It's literally, it looks like a giant hill with grass on it, bro. Like, even if you putt from the top, it's just going to go down the side.
Yeah, roll down. But
right.
The
golf cart down the side of that.
Hole
let me see it.
Should be on top of the hill.
So you just got to constantly drive it up the top and watch it go over. And
just right.
That's not a thing.
So that, yeah.
No.
And then you don't get your ball back like they do in mini golf. Like, it's just mini golf, but bigger.
Well, and think about the situation, in all seriousness. Think about the situation there at the racetrack. The racetrack's starting to gain a lot of traction, right?
Oh, good pun.
Right. They're starting to gain a lot of attention down there. Talks of hotels and all kinds of other stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's a giant prime piece of land right there that's occupied by tons of trash that they can do nothing with. And it doesn't matter how pretty you make the area, there's still a giant landfill sitting there, and everybody knows what it is.
Ooh. So we'll take your idea, right?
Yeah.
Here we go. I'm feeling like Iago in Aladdin. So we'll take your idea and we'll say that we're gonna reclaim that land. And there's a lot of stuff in there that we couldn't recycle before that we probably can now.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll probably take like 5 to 7 years without the
That'd
bureaucracy.
Be a giant project.
Right. So you go through and you pull out the stuff that we couldn't do anything with before, that was in the landfill. We recycle what we can.
You solve all the missing persons cases.
Sure. That's where Jimmy Hoffa is.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I'm gonna backtrack to that statement because so anyway, pull up all the stuff and then recycle, reuse the stuff that's usable in the building of this hotel, and then go the route that the Mercedes-Benz stadium did and make the entire thing green. There is like in Atlanta, Georgia, I was there a couple years ago, the Mercedes-Benz Theater. It's not even a theater. It's where the Falcons play football. It replaced the Georgia Dome. But the Mercedes-Benz Theater, massive operation. It is a net positive when it comes to like how the amount of electricity that it conducts. Like all the panels are glass, but I think they're also solar panels. So it's constantly absorbing solar energy. And that energy then basically fuels everything that happens inside the stadium, the lighting, the pyrotechnics, the everything, the air conditioning, which by the way, in July, it gets pretty steamy down in Atlanta, but it is so cool when you walk in there. Yeah.
You know, I think that you may have stumbled upon another good idea. I don't know the engineering behind it or if it would actually even make 100% sense, but you got a giant hill with a bunch of surface area, cover it with solar panels. Rather than just letting it be a giant hill that sits there with grass on it that has to be maintained, why not cover it with solar panels, make it a solar farm?
I'm not going to lie. When you said you may have stumbled across a really good idea, I was like, I just said a lot of shit. I don't know what in that. And
you said solar panels, and I'm
trying
like,
to be funny, but it's like, yeah, that could actually work. Like, I don't know. Listen, if y'all go that route, you owe this man money. Okay. It's
never going to happen. By the way, Chuck chimed in and said, we miss you guys. So
miss you too, Chuck.
Yeah, so.
I know you're out and about, or as they say it north of the border, oot and a boot.
I'm sure he doesn't want to be.
he's globe hopping again.
But yeah. So think about it. Obviously you want to get as much absorption of sunlight as possible. But if you could line the entire one side of a landfill with solar panels all the way from the top to the bottom, that there's generally not large trees next to landfills.
Right.
So you're not going to have any blockage there. You could still have the landfill maintenance thing going on, but you'd have less grass to mow because they have to mow those landfills to keep the grass from being just giant, tall, overgrown crap. You could put panels on the side of that and have a nice solar farm that the landfill is actually giving back rather than just being a nuisance.
Ooh, and
there you go. Waste management. There's a way for you to reclaim some of your stuff there, buddy.
And would it impact? Well, no, it's not a coal mill that we have here. It's a steel mill. So it could you imagine under that? Now you've got solar energy basically funneled into Granite City. What your power bill would look like or not look like. I mean, granted, I understand like Ameren and those guys would be really upset unless they were the ones responsible for it. Yeah, that was me plugging you guys to do something about this. Like, but in the event that you had all this solar energy that was used to bring people's electric bills down so that the average and ordinary person out here in Granite, and you could even use that as kind of like a pilot program for other cities, larger cities. You get to the point where, okay, now it's not even a net positive, but now it's running all the things at the racetrack. It's running the hotel that's being built. It's running all of these different things. And, whether
I think a company like Waste Management could keep it simple. Let's say the landfill over next to the racetrack and the landfill out on Shoto Island, they install solar panel arrays out there, put substations in to handle the influx of electricity. And, I don't know, maybe try to pass the savings down to the customer after they've reclaimed the cost of the panels or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, for a company like Waste Management, that to me, and again, there's a whole lot of math that you'd have to go through in engineering as to whether it would even be possible or not. But like, to me, you could very easily do that. And rather than your land just being a cost detriment to you, because you have to pay taxes on the land, whether you're using it for landfill stuff or not. I can't keep the camera on you when you're staring at the screen on the side of you.
Oh, my bad. I mean, should I look here while you're talking?
No,
to
I
me?
just moved it to me.
Okay.
You're staring at the screen that you were live on, by the way, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, that's why it's so weird.
Yeah. Anyway, instead of having to pay the taxes on it and having to pay the maintenance on it and security and stuff, because like Shoto Island, there's no operations out there anymore other than, just people going back and forth and fishing and visiting the bridge and all that stuff. So
Cold cases.
So like there's security is an aspect of that too, because they still have some little buildings out there and you don't want people getting injured on your covered up trash heap.
Right.
For insurance purposes. But like if you had a solar farm out there, now the land is doing something for you. And
it's generating some sort of profit.
Right. And you already have some forms of security around those buildings. There's fences with barbed wire and all that stuff. Go put your solar array up, have some engineers come out and tune the solar array so it's getting the maximum amount of sun throughout the day. And there you go. I mean, because we're seeing there are spots in Granite, like over on Century Drive, and there's one over near Prather School where there's solar farms. They've put these solar farms out there and they're generating electricity either through a co-op or whoever has their own little array or whatever. And so far, from what I've seen, those have been fairly successful. So why not do it on a landfill?
And then we could take those solar arrays and we could put them on the NCC 1701 as a deflector dish, and it would just
you just lost everybody. Good job.
Sorry. I ruined that. Now, I'm circling back around to this. So cold cases. So near the church that I used to go to, it was such a massive undertaking that they put in like a whole new exit. And it was between Brooklyn and Queens. So it's at the edge of Brooklyn on Flatlands Avenue. And what they did was they also created this whole mall. It's a strip mall area, which is awesome. Gateway Mall. I don't know why they call it Gateway when the gateway is over here. Who knows? Who cares?
Gateway means different things, I guess.
Sure. Gateway. So where that mall sits now on Erskine Avenue, while they were excavating and clearing out all that land, they found a few bodies. Like some cold cases got solved. And the reason is because as soon as you leave that area of Brooklyn and go into Queens, there's Howard Beach. Howard Beach was like John Gotti area.
Ooh.
So they found like 3 bodies and they were like, oh man, we're going to have to get dental records. And whatever came of them, I'm going to claim I don't know because I don't. But yeah.
I can only imagine like these landfills are old. I'm not sure the exact age of either of them, but I think the Shoto Island one is older.
Yeah.
Because the Shoto Island one was closed down way before the one out next to the racetrack was. So I would imagine with the way that just things were back in the day that there were bodies disposed of in the trash. And like, I mean, if you're a trash guy, like, especially in today's world, like you're just picking up a trash can, dumping it into your truck and moving on. Like,
and they're not even like physically grabbing the trash and dumping it. It's the arm off of the trash truck.
Yeah. But like, even back in the day, like, okay, you're not going to dispose of a body in your home residential garbage, but
maybe you might not usually,
but you could throw a body in a dumpster. And what are they doing with dumpsters? Picking them up with their arms
and dumping them in. Yeah.
Right. And they're going to the landfill. They're coming through the gate. They're going up there. They're dumping their load. And unless it gets seen by the dozer that's pushing the trash out, so it makes it even, you're going to find stuff.
And that's why you wrap the body in a carpet.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I'm just saying.
We're not doing how to get rid of a body 101 on the podcast.
No, we're not doing that. But I in talking with you earlier today, I was like, yo, we should talk about some things. And we, I threw out there serial killers.
Yeah.
And you were like, no.
Right.
But you did bring up a really interesting point. Something to talk about. And that's my segue into DB Cooper.
Oh yeah. That's a good one.
Right.
Yeah.
So DB Cooper, for those of you who don't know, back in 1970, I want to say 78.
I don't have
this guy boards a plane and you could ask all the questions, but what kind of, why didn't security find it? Because this
wasn't any security.
Definitely pre 9/11. Like, you could walk up to an airline with like $50 and say, hey, I want to go from here to Atlanta, and just give them money, and they'll say, okay, cool.
Yeah,
and
imagine
give you a ticket.
Yeah. Imagine being able to just walk into the airport and be like, you know what? I'm in St. Louis. I'm at Lambert. I want to go to New York.
Yeah.
Do you have any flights available? Well, yeah. Okay.
I've
cool.
got 2 leaving in the next hour.
Right.
Okay, great.
$75. Got it.
Got
Perfect.
it right here.
All right. Go to the terminal.
Enjoy. It's Terminal 4. Oh, okay,
Right.
great.
Thanks.
And then you just wander on over, and it's like, okay, cool.
Like taking a bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just hop on the bus.
November 24th, 1971.
Oh, November 24th, 1971. Okay,
Mhm.
so November 24th, 1971, this guy hops on a plane
In Seattle.
And he's heading to I want to say somewhere in California.
No, let's see. No, so he was heading to Seattle. It took off from Portland, Oregon.
Okay, so Portland, Oregon to Seattle, that's a really short flight.
Yep.
Like, it's probably the distance between here and Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's maybe 45 minutes in the air. So he gets up there and he slips the flight attendant a note.
Mm-hmm.
And the flight attendant doesn't really pay much attention to him, because back in the 70s, when flying was becoming a regular thing, flight attendants were often like sexualized. So it's like, oh, I'm sure she got a note every
here's
flight.
my number.
Here's my
Right,
number.
yeah.
Call me when you're in town. So she doesn't really say much, but he says to her, no, seriously, look at the note.
He said he's got a bomb.
And in the note, it says, I got a bomb and I want $200,000. Otherwise, everybody's done. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh my gosh.
So what gets me is, and I know this is crazy. So yeah, dude says he's got a bomb, and,
Mm-hmm.
and how do they know he doesn't have a bomb? But they landed in Seattle,
Mm-hmm.
refueled, had his money and
Mm-hmm.
parachutes.
He asked for 4 parachutes.
And they took off again.
And they took off. Now, why 4 parachutes? Think of it from the perspective, if he asks for 1, hey, we'll just give him a dummy parachute. If this guy decides, like, could you imagine, like, the situation with DB Cooper has been solved. How was it solved? Well, we found the hole that he created. Like, we found his remains just like from, I don't know, 10,000 feet up. That's gonna sting on the way down. So with 4 parachutes, it's not all for him, but it's a question of, is he taking a hostage? Because if he takes a hostage and we give the hostage he gives the hostage the dummy parachute. Oh,
we just
killed an innocent person who had nothing to do with this. So 4 parachutes, he's probably taking a hostage. So he gets the parachutes, he gets the money. They go back up in the air. They're up for a little bit. And they said that they were circling around while they were trying to get like the clearance to land or something like that. Like, they gave the passengers a BS excuse, specifically so that there would be no panic.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody panicked. But they're up there, and suddenly
30 minutes into the flight, he picked the right airplane too, because that's actually, when I watched a documentary about it years ago, the 727s had a rear staircase.
Yes, you could just
let it
out.
He drops down this 727's rear staircase with his parachute on and just steps off the back with his bag of money.
Yeah,
never to be seen or heard of ever again.
Now, you guys might have seen him. Marvel did a series called Loki, where Loki professed to be DB Cooper. That's not exactly the case. He didn't just end up in Asgard with a bunch of money, because what do Asgardians need American currency for? Not a damn thing. It's more of just like, oh, hey, look, my keys. It's a trinket. It's nothing major. But yeah, like, there have been so many movies that have come out about DB Cooper. And to this day, nobody knows who he is, where he came from. And DB wasn't even his name. So the dude who signed up in the manifest, his name was Dan Cooper, is what he wrote down. But Dan Cooper didn't stick because a reporter who was reporting on the case overheard some police officers talking. And while they were talking, and this is according to the Netflix documentary that I saw on it, which is actually kind of cool. You can catch it on Netflix. It was produced in like 2022. So it's a couple years old. So she cites that the police said DB Cooper, and it just kind of stuck. And now, 50 plus years later, there are people who are still trying to solve this case, because $200,000 then is well over $1 million in today's currency.
$1.554 million.
$1.5 million, more than $1.5 million. And it's just kind of like, so where did the money go? No idea. Where did he go? No idea. They thought it was a guy, Dan Briggs, but he turned up dead.
But gosh, man, if you think about it, though, in 1971, with no travel restrictions, I'm not even sure. And listen, if anybody's watching and you used airlines in the 70s, you can chime in the comments and let us know. But I'm not even sure if they had metal detectors.
They did not.
But so imagine
that is a post 9/11 world.
In 1971, you're able to go book a flight in a matter of minutes if something's available, probably with little to no identification. Who knows if this guy's name was even Dan Cooper? Like, and yeah, we've got sketch drawings of the dude, but this dude matches nobody that's ever on photographic record anywhere ever. Like, this,
there were a couple,
but
maybe they've gone through like so much in terms of who it could be, who it couldn't be. They've chased down thousands of leads.
And what my question is, what's the statute of limitations on this crime?
Just let it go.
Like, if the dude came forward today, like if I were a federal agency, I'd be like, look, I don't care about your $200,000. I just want to, like, give us your secrets, help us, almost like the Catch Me If You Can Frank Abagnale guy. Like, hey,
Abagnale,
we want to know, how you did your check fraud and all that stuff, so we can catch other folks. Like, bravo, impressive. Like
you got us. Seriously,
and
we admit defeat.
Right,
we're hiring you
now. 99% of the time, I'm sure this guy survived the parachuting thing, because we haven't found bones and a bag of money anywhere.
They also they checked. They didn't find any parachutes stuck inside of
I would have made sure
like trees or anything.
I would have made sure I got rid of that.
Yeah,
because otherwise it's a giant North Star to where you landed.
Hey, I dropped it here.
Right. Yeah, I think thinking about surveillance technology and just technology in general back then, if I was going to do it, I think that I would have parachuted out of the plane. I would make sure to get rid of my chute, and I would hide the money, and I would get back to my normal everyday life and just let it rest for a while until I didn't see it in the papers anymore and nobody was talking about it. And then you got to launder the money, because even back in 1971, bills are still marked with serial numbers, and they're going to be looking for those. So you got to get rid of them somehow and launder that money. Otherwise, you're going to be found.
Speaking of money laundering,
you put your money in you found $1 in the washer or something?
No. So I do Lyft, and I picked up a guy at a casino. I'm going to keep this as vague as possible.
Yeah, you're about to make yourself an accessory to a crime?
No. This was the story that was told to me by a security guard from one of these casinos.
Okay.
So this dude comes in, and this is a couple of years back. He comes in, he's got the jewelry, he's got the watch, he's got the money, the clothes, and he goes in, cashes in like $10,000 for chips, plays a few hands for a couple hours. Cashes out, leaves. Comes back the next week with more money, and he does this consistently. So much so that, like, the third time at the same casino in as many weeks, they're watching him.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, you can't,
like,
red
flag.
Can't just, red flag like nobody's business. So they're watching him. So he's doing this for several months, and one day, he goes in with a couple grand, and he hits big.
Oh no.
Like 50 grand.
Oh geez. Now you got an IRS involved.
Now he's really excited, super excited. And he tips this guy, he's giving away money, he's buying drinks for everybody in the spot. He leaves, and he's met by county police.
Oh.
They pull him over, And in addition to the money that he had won, there's an additional $68,000 in cash in his car. In addition to that, there are 2 bricks.
Oh no. Of illegal substances in the car?
Of some powdery substance that's in his car. And a gun.
Oh, yep,
so he serves some time for the gun charge. And that's where the story ends. It's like, wait. I know what you're thinking. What happened? I don't know. And that's why I'm keeping it vague, because I don't know the jurisdiction. I don't know the casino. I don't know. That's the story I heard. And I was like, wow, if you're going to launder money, you got to especially through a casino, you got to suck real bad for a while. You got to show up and just intend to lose for an extended period of time. You also got to look like Walter White, just super. Oh man, I saved all this money for my 401k, and that's where I'm using this money from. But in the history of money launderers, where does this guy fall? Probably somewhere near the bottom is the worst, huh?
No, I'm sure if you're doing it at the same casino over and over again and raising eyebrows and I mean, he probably would have been better off if he didn't win the jackpot. But of course, I guess that's fate. It is interesting that he only served time for the gun charge. Which means that there's probably more folks in on whatever else was going on. And here, what's really funny to me is that we see, the border patrol catching these folks with drugs in different spots on vehicles and so on and so forth. But there's no disruption of the drug trade in the United States.
Right.
So, the cartel's not stupid. They're letting a little bit come through that can be found, and there's more going through in other places that can't isn't. It's all always a system of who gets paid and what gets overlooked and so on and so forth. That's what it's all about.
I remember hearing about this dude. I was in college at the time, so this is 04, 06. And one of my classmates mentioned that one of their friends had a really awful freak out because he was doing the baggies, right? So putting the drugs, swallowing them in condoms, whatever.
Oof.
So he's getting through security. Everything's cool. The problem was one of the bags ruptured.
Oh no.
Inside of him. So he's got, I don't know, maybe a fistful of coke that has now been introduced to his system. Regardless, it could have been any drug, really. It doesn't really matter.
That's
any of these hard drugs, but it's a lot. Right. So they had to hit him with Narcan. I think it was twice just to bring him out of it because he was so gone.
Yeah.
And the worst part about something like that is now you got to go to jail for drug trafficking. You're a mule. So you got to go to jail anyway. And this awful thing has happened to you, but you got to go to jail anyway because you were just trying to, I don't know, make a couple extra bucks.
Well, it makes me wonder. I'm not familiar. I know that millimeter wave body scanning catches external things. I don't think it sees internally in your body, but X-rays. X-rays can. I don't know if they still use any of that kind of technology at airports for people who they think are questionable. I've seen them go through and they'll, swab people's hands and stuff to see if there's gunpowder residue or anything else like that. But obviously some mule that has ingested the illegal substance is not going to have residue of it on their hands.
Right.
They're going to have showered and taken precautions and stuff like that. But I would think I don't know if you would have extra screening for that and stuff, but I don't know. I think that the most of it's coming in through people who are paid, because I don't care how ethical you are. Big enough dollar signs that's untraceable is going to make most people be like, I didn't see so and so go through the gate, or no, don't look at that truck. And I'm
gonna be real with you. Everybody's got a price. my price
is your last name.
Yeah, but in addition to it being my last name, it's at least 8 figures before the decimal point. Like, I'm just saying, like, if I'm gonna do time, I need to, like, it's got to be like for real. Like, I'm taking a big risk here. Okay, like, I don't see my family on a regular basis because they're all back in New York and on the East Coast. But I'll be danged if I'm gonna serve time for like $50,000. No. You got to beef that number way
well,
up.
and you've got to be able to put it away so that when you're done serving time, it's still there.
I can get out and I can enjoy the rest of my life. Now, I'm at the point now where 20 years from now, oh man, like retirement's knocking on. I'm knocking on retirement's door. So I need to be able to spend my at least $10 million. I need to be able to spend my at least $10 million in a way that, I have a good quality of life. Because $10 million now versus $10 million in 20 years, it spends like, I want to say maybe 5. But still, I need to have that much security.
Right.
And my mom and dad need to be able to see me too. And I need to be able to fly them out to see me. Unless I can go to where is this conversation going, bro?
I have no idea.
Unless I can end up in New York somewhere where the trip isn't very long and I can get them up there and back in a limo, because dad has 2 bad knees and memory issues, and mom, she had a spinal thing. So I need to get them up there in comfort. All of that to say, don't launder money. It's a terrible idea. Don't throw your trash out the window either, because that's $1,500.
Right.
We
forgot to mention too about the whole trash thing that the city has 2 cleanup trailers.
Yes.
And I'm not 100% certain of all of the equipment they have in the trailers, but I know they have bags, they have rakes, they've got shovels, all the stuff that you would need to clean up trash and take care of some of the stuff around the city. So if you and a group of your friends or an organization that you're a part of would like to go around and like, hey, the exit to 270 or whatever is dirty.
Bad idea.
Just you can contact the city. I believe it might be building and zoning, but you could certainly call the city clerk and find out how to get one of those trailers. They will bring it out there and set it for the date that you want to use it. And then you can use all of their equipment. You don't have to bring anything and clean up the entire area. And I do believe that they also take care of the trash too. Like, ooh. I'm pretty sure that they round that up and do something with it.
So what's really cool, when I first moved out here, the first spring that I was out here, they set up, it was the block association or whatever. They had set up on a specific Saturday, and they did this up until, I want to say, the pandemic. Everyone would just come on out, and it was the whole neighborhood, but each individual block had a certain block captain and a vice captain or lieutenant or whatever you call them. But they would come out and they would set up these, we're cleaning up on this day, come join us. You don't have to, but come join us, meet the neighbors and all this other stuff. And that was really cool, because like on this Saturday, like early spring, they did this big spring cleanup. And just an idea, throwing it out there, maybe that's not a bad idea. Coming out of winter, going into spring. And I know out here in the Midwest, spring comes like 4 or 5 times before March 21st because weather. But if you guys wanted to, you could coordinate something in the different neighborhoods in Granite where, you know what, I think I'm going to do that.
We've talked about doing it as a church. In fact, one of the things I need to do is contact somebody and say, hey, what are the most neglected areas that need attention, and do that. But like, I know there are areas that I see from time to time, like especially the exit off of 270 West to 203 in Granite. There's trash all over the place.
Yeah.
And it would take a handful of people to go clean that up. And then there are some areas, some intersections around town that get an accumulation of trash that could be cleaned up. and it probably wouldn't take a whole lot of work. And I think that's a good discussion to have and get that information about, find out where it'd be most effective.
So I've said a lot. I got a lot of exercise today running my mouth. Okay. But I'm going to throw this out there. In coming weeks, I will have information on when we're going to do this cleanup, when it's going to happen, where it's going to happen. And I'll throw my hat in the ring. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know,
too.
We'll get all that information right here on the Facebook.
The faces, the book
and
of faces.
we'll just kind of go from there. Cause I mean, outside of St. Louis, I spend more time in Granite than anywhere else. Like I'm all over the place, but I spend there are 3 major places. I'm in St. Louis, I'm in Florissant, I'm in Granite. And those are like the 3 places that I'm at the most. And I love the idea of just being able to spearhead an operation like this. So yeah, in coming weeks, I'm going to have some information as to when it's going to be, where it's going to be, and how you can help out. You know, we'll make a Saturday of it or something. Just come on out and give us a hand, and we'll just, get some volunteers together, clean it up, and
grab one of these weekends where it's not stupid hot outside.
Yeah, where it's not, you could fry an egg on the sidewalk, but also where it's not raining, because that sucks too. Wet trash is awful.
Yep.
You should see some of my ex-girlfriends from back home.
Oh my gosh.
I swear. I don't think I'd survive as a comedian.
No,
I'd probably get heckled a lot.
You probably would. You just got to be like Matt Rife and just shoot right back at him.
Oh, he's a different level.
No,
I don't know.
Yeah, he's vulgar.
I like Josh Jordan. He's got a very dry kind of, like his build up and setup, and then his punchline. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe he went there with it.
The hecklers, I almost think that some of them are paid to do it just to make the show a little more lively, because like you paid X amount of dollars to come to a show. You've seen the dude's content. You know what he talks about. You know that if he's looking for content, he'll poke fun at people in the audience. And yet you came there and something offended you. Why are you here? You paid X amount of dollars for this ticket and whatever drinks you've consumed while you're there, and something offended you, you princess.
Listen, comedians are some of the smartest people. Good comedians are some of the smartest people in the world. They're fast with their thought process. They're fast with their delivery. And if you give it to them, they'll kind of like Serena Williams fire it back at you a lot faster than you anticipated. Usually around the time that you realize you've been got and the depth at which you've been got, you're leaving, like the show is over and you're on your way home and you're like, wow, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
I just think like it especially somebody like him, his stuff's all over TikTok and YouTube and everything. Going into a show like that if you've got something going on or you sit up near one of the, you don't even have to be up near somebody. If he catches somebody off in the background, he'll mess with them. But like, that's a possibility, and you're paying money. It's not like this is a free event.
Nope.
That you went to sit at and, okay, I got offended because I didn't exactly know what was going on. You sought out these tickets, you bought them, and you're sitting there probably paying for drinks and whatever you're eating or whatever's there. And you got offended by his content. You know what his content is. How can you get offended by it? I mean, they make all kinds. I'm not even just talking racism. There's sexist jokes. There's everything. You're going to go to one of those and get mad because he made a joke and it hits you the wrong way. He's a comedian.
Listen,
like those are the worst kind of people, bro.
Listen, the first time I heard a song from Book of Mormon, okay, like I was fairly new to Jesus, okay, and my friend's like, hey, listen to this song from Book of Mormon. I know you're a Jesus guy. And I'm like, sure. So I'm listening. And I'm not going to say the name of the song. It is hilarious. Just go see Book of Mormon or listen to the cast recording. But I remember listening to this song and just feeling like, oh, Absolutely not. Like, get up, ready to walk out the room. And it's like, no, really, listen to the rest of it. And I'm like, this is not getting any better.
Mm-mm.
And I got the opportunity to see Book of Mormon on Broadway. And I knew what I was getting into. And I also knew I had to take that part and just kind of like put it in the back. Like, this is purely for entertainment purposes only. So this is how I'm choosing to entertain myself today. And we're sitting in the theater, the song starts, and I hear the beat begin, and I'm like, oh, this is it. Oh, this is it. Sitting to my left, there are two older couples. One's got gray hair, one couple's got white hair. And based on the conversation that I heard leading up to this, I could tell they were either from the Midwest or from the South, like the Bible Belt, definitely. And I thought, this is going to be awesome. And while the song is playing, while the show is going on, I'm looking at this dude and I see him bobbing his head. And then the line comes. What is the definition of this phrase? And his jaw dropped.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't just drop. I could see the drool pool on his lip and then drop on his shirt. This man didn't even flinch to attempt to like lick his lip or anything. He was just so. It's Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the guys from South Park. It's the Book of Mormon.
In today's world, unless you're 90 years old and you do nothing with social media or watch YouTube or whatever, you're still stuck in the ways of the 70s or 80s or whatever.
Listen to my radio.
Right. And even then you probably are going to understand some things, but like if you, unless somebody approached you on a sidewalk and said, hey, there's a show starting in 20 minutes. You want to go? Here's some free tickets. Like, how are you getting offended by things? You know what kind of content is going to be here. I just don't understand how people walk into these comedy shows or theatrical productions or whatever and be like, oh my gosh, this is just absolutely atrocious. I can't believe you did this.
Like people gave crap to Hamilton because one of the things in Hamilton in their casting call was basically don't be white. And people were like, white people were like, yo, what do you mean don't be white? Like, yeah, just you're not who we're looking for. Okay. So like, don't do that. And it's still one of the hottest shows on Broadway. Now they had to kind of, all right, you can audition if you'd like. We're probably not going to pick you anyway, unless you're King George, but you're welcome to audition. You're just not who we're looking for. And I'll be honest, I can't speak for the organization itself. It's a lovely show. I love it. It's my favorite Broadway show. There's a certain aesthetic that's kind of like there's a trend that goes with it. For example, when you think of William Shakespeare's Othello, you're not looking for like a white dude to play Othello, although Sir Patrick Stewart played Othello.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, it was like reverse Othello, where in Othello, if you're not familiar, Othello himself is black and like everybody else is white. So in this Patrick Stewart version, Patrick Stewart was Othello and like everybody else in the cast was black. So I guess you kind of get the idea that he's, one of these things is not like the other. Right. So that's kind of where they were going with it. So it makes sense in that moment.
I just think the thing that blows my mind is like you watch these shows and let's say the comedian, does a stereotypical racist joke.
Okay.
And like all of the black people in the audience are like, they're cutting up, they're
hilarious.
Laughing, except for one person over on the side that's like, oh, I can't believe he said that. Like, what? Have you never heard of this dude before? It doesn't even have to be Matt Rife. It could be another black comedian that's making racist jokes in their set. And there's one person in there that it like struck a nerve. Like, why did you come here then?
Jim Jeffries. I saw him at Caroline's.
Mm-hmm.
this had to have been 2009. He was getting big. He's an Australian comedian, and he's also a devout atheist. So with that information, understanding that his first comedy special was called I Swear to God, it kind of sends the message, right? So like, I remember after the show asking him, why is it called I Swear to God? You're an atheist. He goes, well, it's funny. And I said, okay. And he goes, look, what is the one thing that you say when something is true? Like if a story is true, you say, I swear to God, right? And that was the whole, that was the point. But for people, and once again, I saw him, it was one of those moments where it was, all right, he's probably going to say some real anti-religious stuff. He probably going to come for my people, but I gotta see it for what it is. It's entertainment. Like when I see a movie and people go, oh man, that movie sucked. Well, what about it sucks? Because you spent X amount of dollars to go see the movie.
Right. Well, and I would even forgive people for that because like, hey, I didn't go watch YouTube clips. Maybe I saw the trailer, but I spent, $40 on this to go watch it and I wasn't happy with it. But like comedians and their acts, like, okay, I've heard a lot of stuff about this dude. I've seen some of his little shorts. I've seen some of his TikToks. I've seen these things. I've seen him on Facebook. I know what he does. Like, I think people have and listen, there've been hecklers for years, but I think that more and more people have just decided that being offended is just something that we have to do. Like people can't just let go and be like, yeah, you know what? Genuinely, that was kind of funny. That was kind of funny, like, even if well, and here's the deal. If it really strikes a nerve that deep, then it's probably true about you.
D.L. Hughley said something in The Kings of Comedy that just made so much sense. He said, everybody has that one person at work that they just at some point would like be compelled to cause physical harm to, you just want to just kick their butt, If you don't have that person at work, it's probably you.
Quite possible. Yeah.
And I'm inclined to believe like if everyone gets the joke and you don't get the joke, and he's talking about a personality type or people, it's probably you, but that's okay.
Well, and like people can't understand that either. Like you see these people, they get all upset and they start yelling things out and they get all like just bent out of shape. And everybody else around them thought it was hilarious. They're all laughing. And
you're the only person who
every single ethnicity, white, black, Mexican, doesn't matter, is all just tearing up laughing about this thing. And you're the only one sitting there fuming like they just personally attacked you. It's a comedy show, bro. Everybody else thought it was funny. But
Jimmy Carr he's a British comedian. He has a part of his show. He says, look, somebody out here wants to heckle me. Probably many of you. There are thousands of people you out here. Let's just get it out of the way right now so I can get to my set.
Do it.
And people shout stuff.
Yeah.
And I've heard him clap back with some people, and I'm like, wow. The runway to the plane takeoff, I did not see that coming. Like, oh boy.
I just don't get. It just blows my mind that you're gonna go. What do you think you're gonna achieve? That's like being the only person on Facebook that wants to get out there and change somebody's mind. Like, well, actually, let me tell you exactly how you should feel and why you're wrong. The person on the other side of that is chuckling and calling you a moron. Right. Calling you may stir up some, and I think most of the people just want to stir the pot and get people to continue on. They enjoy the chaos. But what makes you think you're going to go to some comedy show and say something that's just going to stop that dude dead in his tracks and make him be like, you know what? You're right. I'm in the wrong profession. I was the end of the show, guys. Like, he was right and I'm wrong. No, it's never going to happen. It doesn't matter. You're not that person.
So I was reading Will Wheaton's book.
Will Wheaton.
He's written a couple, but the first one that he wrote was called Just a Geek. And he wrote it, I think he was just in his like mid to late 20s, and he was kind of angsty, and he basically complains the entire time, but he wrote an unabridged kind of recount of it called Still Just a Geek. And in Just a Geek, I mean, he talks about how, you know, he fought for his parents' love and affection, and they just didn't have the time of day for him.
Right.
But in this new annotated version, Still Just a Geek, he's in his 40s, and he goes back and he's like, it's been 20 years since I've done this, and oh, this is bad. Prepare for the cringe, people. Prepare for the cringe. And he goes through the process of talking about, as an older person reading what his younger self said, how bad it was. He calls himself out on a lot of things. And I think I'd like to say he does it too much, but I mean, whatever cleanses your soul. He goes through the process, but at some point he was at a Star Trek convention and he walks out and he cracks this joke and nobody laughs.
Ooh.
Nobody laughs at all. And at this point, he's got his...
If Patrick Stewart could have just tilted his head around a quarter and been like, shut up, Wesley, that would have been perfect.
He was in the green room, so he hadn't even gotten to that point. But he goes, okay. So he cracks another joke. It's met with the same response.
Crickets.
And he says, all right. And that's my time. Thank you, folks. And he walks off stage and people laugh at that. So that was a moment for him to kind of get the crowd.
Yeah.
Like he started off, he lost them like right out the gate, but he was able to get a reaction from them. And he was like, oh, so you guys do want me here? And it's like, yeah. And it's like,
just don't say dumb stuff.
Yeah. Just don't say dumb stuff. And it was right back to it. So he gets back in, he does his like 15 or 30 minutes or whatever. And he has a really good interaction with people. But yeah, at that point, and you talk about, yeah, you know, I'm in the wrong profession. I quit. I'm just going to leave now. I have your money, by the way, just so we're clear. Like you guys bought tickets and that's already in my pocket.
Right. I could end the show right now and all you're hurting is all the other people. So if you want to get the crap beat out of you outside because you caused me to end the show, then we'll end the show now.
Right now.
Listen, I'm hopping on a jet and going to another city tonight. you're hopping out on the sidewalk and getting your teeth smashed in by about 30 people who are mad. So you make the decision.
I couldn't imagine being such a jerk that I could hijack a show like that.
I just don't understand. I mean, I get it. People get frustrated and stuff like that. But listen, like entertainment is there for you to unwind and enjoy. Like, okay, you went and you saw a movie that sucked. That's fine. That's understandable. Not all movies are great. A lot of them flop. You know, that I understand. And you maybe, you know, leaving a review or speaking up and be like, oh, this movie was trash. Don't even go see it. I get that. But you went and saw a comedy show of a dude whose content you know. I could even understand if you went to one of those comedy shows where this guy's brand new and we really haven't seen his stuff before and he was just just trash.
Maybe he had an off night.
Right. Maybe he's just junk. Okay, that's fine. But I still don't think that you need to heckle the show because, like, listen, I've been to Broadway level theatrical productions, and one of which we walked out on because it was just junk. We left at intermission and didn't come back. But I didn't like scream at the stage and be like, you guys suck, you know, like just because like, hey, I paid for this and I didn't quite like it because I didn't know what it was and I didn't do research, but we sat down and we watched it. It wasn't great. So I just politely left. You know, and you came to a show knowing that there could be sensitive topics that are talked about. And if you're that sensitive to racial jokes or jokes about weight or jokes about sexual orientation, then don't go to those.
Right. I remember going to see Sister Act. It was a high school performance, which, by the way, bold.
Yeah. That's a lot in that.
Yeah. Half the mics didn't work. The funniest character wasn't mic'd up at all. There was something going on with the lights. The sets were probably the best part of the show. It's a high school. And I remember I took my ex-wife on a date there. And at intermission, once again, it was a situation of You ready to go?
Yeah.
Yeah. We could. Hey, yeah, we're just gonna go grab a bite super quick. We'll be back.
We were at the Fox Theater.
Oh, wow.
We were at the Fox Theater at a show. And it was just,
oh my gosh,
it was slow, it was uninteresting, and we're just like, meh. And we left for intermission and just didn't come back. Like, but I didn't, stop.
You don't
and be
bash
like,
the place.
No, I didn't stop and
No.
like tell the nearest usher that it was just junk. Like, oh, this is terrible, and I want a refund. Or like, no, like it wasn't our thing, and we just didn't come back. Chalk it up as that wasn't a show for me. That's fine. And if I went to a comedy show and I was uneducated to the content that the dude was putting in his show, and he said something about cancer survivors, considering that I've gone through cancer before, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, get all mad and yell out heckling stuff at him. Like, it's a comedy show. They make fun of everything.
Literally, yes. Which is why I didn't understand. Isaac Hayes voiced Chef in South Park, and he did so for many years. And there was one episode where they talked about, I want to say Scientology, and he was a Scientologist, and he was so upset that like he took a leave of absence from the show. Well,
and now Scientology, those people.
Those people. Bro, you started this with those people.
Like, I normally don't do that, but Scientology is a very tight-knit cult.
Literally, yes.
Once you're into that. It's almost like a gang. Like, and I don't like talking crap on different belief systems or anything like that, but like, it's very tight-knit, and they will put you down. Like, there been tons of exposés about how the Church of Scientology has all this land and complexes and money, and they don't pay taxes, and there's all this stuff and crazy, and nothing ever comes of it.
Right.
Like, listen, one of the biggest, gosh, I just lost the name.
Leah Remini?
No. One of the biggest televangelism organizations in the 1980s, the PTL Club, Jim and Tammy Baker. Yeah,
that name sounds familiar.
Like, dude, here's how this went down. Dude did have an affair with his secretary, but that is what it is. It's obviously biblically wrong. And there was some infidelity going there, but that's not what took him down. That's not what got him in jail. What got him in jail is that he oversold the giant tower of hotel rooms that they were building on the campus that they had, this Christian theme park that was doing really well. And like, you get a chance, go look it up. There's some documentaries about it and stuff too. Huh. But he
Firefest.
He overbooked this hotel that they were building, and basically did not have enough room for people who had paid their fees to occupy this hotel. It was just overbooked in embezzlement. And anyway, what they ended up doing was they revoked the church's tax exempt, and they owed a bunch of money, and he went to jail, and the PTL network died.
Is he still alive?
Yeah. He's back at preaching and all that stuff in Branson, I believe. But it was a huge scandal, and that very quickly got outed, and he went to jail, and their organization fell apart. But there have been tons of scandals and crazy things going on in Scientology, and nobody gets punished.
Man, let me tell you, the Richard Rogers Theater is across the street from a Scientology building. And this is a big reason why Ham for Ham and the Hamilton Lottery is now digital. I remember sitting outside. Well, no, there was no sitting. We were definitely standing, but it was in front of the theater. So sidewalk is here, theater is here. Here's the street. Church of Scientology is on this side. There were so many people this December day, and you had a lot of people who were just coming into town. And back then the lottery was like, you write your name on a piece of paper, fold it up and put it inside this bucket. And somebody from the cast would, hey, I got one. And they would read the name. And then for $10, you'd go see the show that night. Cool. Max of 2 tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So there were so many people who had flowed into the street. They were trying to get people to separate so that a tour bus of people could just make it through. And I remember Lin-Manuel Miranda was like, guys, please get on the sidewalks. Like, oh, I can't have anybody like get run over because this is bad. And there was somebody else in the cast or like management or something said something about, if you need a prayer, the Church of Scientology is across the street. And it was a throwaway line.
Yeah.
Well, that throwaway line led to, you guys need to control this. You don't talk about us. You don't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they went hard, and like a cease and desist order went out.
They're
and
like Disney.
Shortly, what?
They're like Disney.
Yo,
they will sue you.
They will go for
and
you.
They'll win
for the jugulars. Just like, it's like, damn. So that happened. And then a week later, they stopped doing the lottery in person and started, it was about a week or so later, within a month, they stopped doing the physical in-person lotteries. They started doing digital lotteries. And at that point, it opened it up to way more people than, because at that time, you had to be there to put your name in, and you had to be there when they called your name. So if you put your name in and then went for, you know, a delicacy like a New York slice of pizza, you should see the eye roll that he just gave me. Because
listen, every time I get a chance, I send him emos pictures.
I cannot.
You watch it, brother. You're not in your neighborhood.
I will go. Look, right outside the Garden Gate Tea Room. That's where I'm at. Right? Like, I will die on this anthill. I can't do. I don't even want to say the name of the company. I do New York pizza.
And I told him if he's that passionate about it and he has that much hatred for, you know, a local St. Louis tradition, that he should just, you know, open his own New York style pizza place up. And, you know, if it's that good, then he should very easily be able to put the competition out of business. Or at least that's what I think. It's a free market, buddy. Prove it.
You're absolutely right. But I'm not ready to put my money where my mouth is on this one. The cleanup I can do. I can do the cleanup.
That's funny.
I'm not about to dump money into a restaurant. Oh boy. You know what? I think we're good. So we talked about a lot today.
Yeah.
I think the biggest takeaway from tonight, and I'll just say it, don't be a jerk. Okay, like take your trash with you.
Yep. It's simple. It's easy to do. It's not a lot of extra work. It takes
a couple extra seconds. Just keep it in your car. Okay. Like I actually had a situation where I had a cup from a movie theater and I put it in my cup holster and it wouldn't fit. And I kind of like swished it down and all of the liquid ends up. And I was like, oh man, that sucks. But I had a microfiber towel.
Well, and like more importantly, teach your kids.
Yeah.
That listen, this isn't just a public trash can service, you know. I'm sure some cities have folks running around cleaning up trash and that's why they look so good. Most cities don't.
Yeah, and be grateful that it's not Singapore where they will beat you.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because that's real. Yeah, I'll get back to you guys on when the cleanup will be, that cleanup initiative. Absolutely. It'll be fun. It'll be great. It'll be wonderful to have you guys out there. You can see the luscious locks in person.
Oh my gosh.
I told Bill this. I didn't want to talk about it. My barber works Tuesday through Saturday, and I did not have a chance to see him this week. And I very much was like, oh, I got to book an appointment and go see him. I booked an appointment to get my oil changed, but I couldn't see him. But I decided I was going to kind of get myself camera ready. And we see how that went. Now, it's a look that I'm comfortable with. It's a look that I'm used to. I just wanted to have a little bit more hair on my head, and it's fine. But yeah, I did shave my head tonight.
Listen, it's exactly what Trump needs to do.
Oh, God.
Shave his head, goatee, he would look completely like, I will decimate you.
Yo, he could
Think
be
about
Walter Orange.
I mean, listen, he would look so much better that way, I believe.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, folks,
Yes,
thank you
it's
for
been a
joining us
pleasure.
tonight.
It's been a pleasure. Once again, out of Studio B,
Behind the Garden Gate Tea
behind the
Room.
Garden Gate Tea Room, also between the Garden Gate Tea Room, the Board Gamery, and Studio C. We are in the Metro, and it's been a pleasure coming to you again this week. You guys, be safe, be awesome, be fantastic. I'll see you guys